Okay, this is a tape to demonstrate the problem that I'm having with the Ampex 2020 tape. Just took this out of the shrink wrapping last night, and you can see I've already begun to wind this through so you can get an idea of what's happening here. Because you've got to be into the tape a little ways for this to happen, but once you're in a little ways, you can see that the tape is got so much gunk on the oxide that it barely moves. And you can see, let me take the camera out of here, out of the tripod here, and you can see if I zoom in that little flecks of the tape are actually coming off. You can see the oxide here flaking off onto the desk, and I'm going to hit the rewind here and see if I can get this to come through. I'm not sure. See, the oxide hangs up here and I've got this above here now. Now let me bring this back and sit this back in the tripod so you can see what's happening. And while that's going on, I'm going to get out some cleaner, because that's the other thing, is that once this winds a little bit, you'll be able to, now that this is wound a bit, you'll be able to see here on the tape guide how this has left a whole bunch of residue. And I'm going to pull the camera out of here again so that when this gets here to the end, I'm going to bring the light around, and there it is. And you can see all the oxide here that is deposited. See all that brown stuff there that's deposited? And that is just from this tape. That is just from the winding that we just did. And I'll clean this off. And unfortunately, it gets on all the guides. Over to this side and clean this real quick. Just going to sit the camera down just for a second so I can clean this other guide. In fact, I'll put the camera back on the tripod so I don't knock it off the floor. I'll clean this. We still... Oh, now I've zoomed way in. Let me zoom back out again. All right, that's pretty much got it. But now, just for purposes of comparison, just so you have an understanding that this is the tape and not the deck, here is a reel of Ampex 631. And I can put this on here. And I'll hit fast forward on this. And you can see that this winds without any issues. Doesn't slow down any. You see how the tape is winding at full speed here. So you can see we're almost to the end of the reel here, and it hasn't even begun to have an issue. And going back, it will do the same thing. And sorry, there's no way to speed this up, but I want to make sure you see that I'm not doing anything to doctor the demo here, and that you can see everything is happening real time. And let me go ahead and pull the camera off of the tripod again just for a second, because when the tape is done here, I want you to see that we don't have that oxide buildup here that we had like on the last tape. And even though this wound all the way, almost all the way to one end and then back, we didn't get that oxide buildup because it's not because this tape isn't shedding its oxide. But again, this is the Ampex. And I should say, my first clue was that when I took it out of the box, you know, there's a little paper, kind of a sticky thing that holds the tape in place. Then you normally just peel that off, and it comes right off. And with this, it did not. It was like it had been melted into place. I had to scrape it off with my fingernail. So that kind of indicates that it probably was stored, you know, in too high a heat or something. And that's what created the issue with the oxide, because you can see here, once it starts to wind in a little ways and that oxide has a chance to start to shed and build up, that it's going to come here to the point where it just about, well, in fact, it will stop. It'll slow down and then it'll just eventually stop. And you can see at this point that it's locked now, because the oxide buildup is so great that it just won't pull through. So that's the issue, and so I'm afraid I can't use this. It's not a usable tape, and so I'll have to clean this up again to get the tape to wind off. So I won't. This has already become a long tape, so I won't take any more of your time with this. But I wanted you to see a full demonstration of what was happening. All right, thank you very much.